I'm not very experienced at all with cooking seafood.
Me either.
Really? Especially on a grill. I don't think I've ever done it. I'll tell you what I'm excited about most in marriage.
Let's talk about the food.
Oh, right, back down to food. I was thinking
all of
about it.
it.
Right. Lobster.
And so it was getting a little hot in the kitchen. I think Beck was a little uncomfortable with a couple of newlyweds in her kitchen. It must be the crustaceans and the garlic. Natural aphrodisiac.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. This is Wednesday, August 24th. So today I was, getting my day started and I got a book in the mail. It says You Can Shine So Bright. And this is a brand new book by Jinger and Jeremy Vuolo. And I got the book for you guys so that I could try to be as objective as possible and just review it for you in the event that you might be thinking of buying it. So I purchased the book through Amazon. It arrived yesterday, and the book is illustrated by Naomi Robinson, who is, according to the bio here, an illustrator and designer based in London, and she's passionate about art and design and specializes in illustration. So the book, it's kind of a mess. So the book is published by Upworthy Kids, and it is the same publisher as who did their book, The Hope We Hold. And it is full of beautiful illustrations by Naomi, for sure. And right off the bat, as you open the book, you kind of notice that there is a theme of diversity within the book. And you're seeing kids of all shapes, all sizes, all abilities, which I thought was neat in that not a lot of books these days, not every book has inclusion. So I was like, okay, expecting a book about inclusion, expecting a book that shows children of all sizes, shapes, colors, creeds, abilities, everything, okay? The book is apparently inspired by a Bible verse from Galatians, which says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control." The book leaves a lot to be desired. The illustrations by Naomi Robinson are absolutely beautiful. I don't know if this is exactly what Naomi planned or thought that her illustrations would be used for when she made the decision to partner up with Jinger and Jeremy. I have to believe that Naomi walked into this with the best of intentions and did what she was asked to do and tasked to do to be hired to help with this book. So obviously I didn't want to bring in my own bias because obviously you guys know I'm not a huge fan of Jeremy's religious beliefs. Not that he's a Christian, just the world, the denomination and the pastor that he's under, John MacArthur. There was just a couple things of that I noticed right off the bat without even trying to get into the socioeconomics of it. But in the very first lesson, it says that I see her sitting by herself. She does it every day. I'll be her friend. I'll ask her now, hey, would you like to play? Okay. And it has a little girl with blonde hair and who is Caucasian, and then a girl who is in the sand and she is black. God says, love others like I do, the same way I show love to you. The writing is super basic. The rhymes don't come off like the tip of your tongue. I've read a lot of children's books. I have a child, and usually when I'm reading a book and you're in a rhyme, I feel very sing-songy, and I did not feel that way at all while I was reading this. It felt like the rhymes were very forced. The writing felt very basic, there was no flower to it. There was no metaphors. There was no descriptions. There was no analogies. There was no beauty in the words. It was just very basic. That's the only way I can describe the way that this was written. I know they used a ghost author for their first book, and if they used a ghost author for this, I would want my money back. throughout this, there's little kids like the boy, little white boy that's he's connected with the word joy, peace, which is again a little girl with blonde hair, and she needs to share, and she's going to share with someone, and she's sharing with a boy, a little boy. So patience is all the kids, except, yeah, all the kids are there for patience. And I noticed here that a girl here that looked a little bit impatient was right here. And again, I just want to read the rhymes to you. I'll practice patience as I wait. I will not fuss or whine. It doesn't matter if I'm first or if I'm last in line. I will not fuss or whine. It doesn't matter if I'm first or last. It matter if I'm first or if I'm last in line. I want love to live big in me, so I will live life patiently. Not the most beautiful poetry. Something else I noticed, the little girl with blonde hair is in a lot of the pictures. She's in a lot of these. She's sort of like, I don't know, she's not in every one of them, but she's almost in a lot. She's in a lot of them. She's here. She's not here. She's here playing with the piece. She's right here. She's not in this one. This was kindness, goodness. So again, here's the little girl with the blonde hair, and she's being she's goodness. So it says, I'll help those who can't help themselves and serve with all my heart. I'll practice goodness every day. I want to do my part. Right off the bat, like honestly, I don't know how that describes goodness. Goodness to me is more than just serving others, and goodness is more than just, helping other people. You can be good in a variety of ways, and the very basics of how they're describing goodness to me is also very basic, right? There's not a lot of depth here. Same with patience, like waiting in line is like the only way that you can describe patience. And maybe it's just simple tasks for children. Faithfulness, which I think is a very strange thing to teach children. Loyalty might be a better word for that, but faithfulness seems like an odd. Faithfulness to me would be faithful in your relationship and with your partner. I'll stay with you. I will not leave. I'll be a faithful friend. You need some help. I'll be right here. I'm with you till the end. So friendships of faithfulness, which is again, not necessarily a requirement for being friends. Faithfulness to me, the Bible, faithfulness comes from a place of trust and loyalty. When we talk about faithfulness in today's world, it's lasting loyalty and trustworthiness in relationships, but especially marriage and friendship. I think of faithfulness most commonly in marriage, being faithful, not cheating on someone. Gentleness. I'll be gentle to humankind and to God's creatures too, and I'll show them all how much I care, and that's what Jesus would do. So being kind and nice and caring for all the others in their lives. First of all, I think I don't want to be lost on people that this timing of all of this comes out feels very poor. They are trying to write a book right after their brother, Josh, is put away for doing horrible things to little children. And Jeremy came out with that statement about protecting little ones, and I can't help but think like the last people I want to get advice from, even if they're not connected to Josh, is anyone related to the Duggars right now. And that's simply because of what we're facing and what he did and the environment that he grew up in and the cult that they were surrounded in and the horrible teachings that they were brought up in, and even some of the really problematic beliefs of John MacArthur. It's hard for me to take it seriously from that perspective. Now, this part of the book really upset me, and I'm just going to be honest. It's on self-control, and it's really about a girl wanting to steal a balloon, and I didn't like that the protagonist for this photograph was a little black girl. They had used she isn't featured prominently in this book, other than when the other girl wants to play with her and go down the slide, and so she has to be rescued by the other little girl to be played with because people are leaving her out. And now that same little girl is who happens to be black is being sort of presented as the thief in the book. And in today's socioeconomical climate right now, I just felt like this was a little bit tone deaf, and that's just my opinion. I presented this to my audience on Instagram, and they kind of felt the exact same way. It just felt very stereotypical. And it says that self-control, sometimes I don't do what I should, though I try to obey. I'm working on my self-control, doing things God's way. So God's way for them is not being of this world, and God's way for them is about being obedient and all of that. And I don't know about you as a parent, but for me, I don't teach obedience, okay? I don't teach my son to obey. I don't teach my son that he has to obey, and if he doesn't obey, there's consequences. We don't speak in the terms of obey. I've never said to my son, you must obey me. And he's almost 10 years old. Obey feels like to me, growing up in a Catholic home, it feels very stifling. It feels very cagey, like you're caged in, like you don't have a choice. Like, I have to believe you no matter what you say. Obey feels like you don't have a choice, that you don't have an option, and that you have to do something or else bad things are going to happen, or you must obey, or, God won't love you. I mean, in my home, growing up with my Catholicism, a lot of the things that I heard from my grandmother were, God's punishing you. So if you don't do this, God punished you. And that still sticks with me today. And I will never make a child feel that way. Like if something happened to you, it's because you didn't obey. And I just feel like that puts a lot of weight on a child that they don't understand. And it makes them feel like they have to do something that they maybe don't want to do. And it takes away complete agency of a child and respect for the child as a person when we demand that they obey. And that's just my opinion. And then this is the only time we see like the class all together. Okay, here's the little girl and she looks sad, and then here's the little girl that was the thief and that was being left out, and she looks angry. And then this is the first time we see a child that has a disability and they're in a wheelchair and they're playing with blocks at the table. Okay, sometimes it's hard to act in love, but Jesus loved me first. He loves me when I'm at my best and when I'm at my worst. Really, this last lesson has me the most angry about this book, because this could have been an opportunity to just demonstrate that children of disabilities are included in everything. They didn't have to make it about the child's disability, but as a mother of a child or has disabilities and who's autistic, this page actually really hurt. I'm going to be honest. It says, he loves you too, more than you know. He wants to be best friends. He loves you too. And it's a child in a wheelchair. The child in the wheelchair was never in here until then. The child in the wheelchair wasn't faithful, wasn't good, wasn't kind, wasn't patience, wasn't peace, wasn't joy. In fact, there's no more words to describe the little boy that's in a wheelchair. And instead it's like placed in the end of the book, like an afterthought, with the, he loves you too. As a mother of a child with a disability, this felt like a slap in the face, as though we love you in spite of the fact that you're not perfect, that you can't walk. We love you in spite of your disability. He'll fill you up with good things and love that never ends. I don't even know how to take that. Like, if you have a child with a disability and you want inclusion, the last thing you want is your child to be singled out and say, he loves you too. Of course, if God loves all people, why would it matter if someone has a disability? Of course, God loves them. It doesn't even need to be said. It's just tone deaf, and it's cruel, because this is the only time the child they don't get a word, and he loves you too. That angers me. It says, God help me be more like you. I really want to be. I want to let your love shine bright for all the world to see. And then it has a letter from the authors, which is really not for kids. And that's the book. So it says, one act of love and kindness can change the world, and let your light shine. Well, my review of the book is that it's poorly written. It feels very rushed. The positives of this book are beautiful illustrations by Naomi Robinson, colorful pictures, colorful pages, flat language, very tone deaf in stereotypes, and completely ableist when it comes to the child in the wheelchair. I don't think that this would be a good book for teaching about inclusion In fact, I feel like it's a book that shows you what the stereotypes are still in the world, where we look at a little black girl as a thief. We look at the little boy in a wheelchair as, oh, yes, you are worth love too. How about instead of he loves you too as, why couldn't that little boy be faithful? Why couldn't that boy have been good? Why couldn't that boy have been gentle? But instead, he loves you too. So I feel like Jinger and Jeremy are a product of how they grew up, and they live in a very ignorant place where they don't really understand people that are different than them. And they probably wrote this with the best of intentions. But if you're looking for a book, like especially if you have a child that has a disability, this is not the book for you. If you're looking for a book that shows kids playing together and it has kids playing together of all walks of life, this is not what I would choose as the book for you. It feels like very like the little white girl has to rescue a little black girl. The little black girl is the thief. The little black girl is angry while the little white girl is happy or sad. It just feels very tone deaf. So these are my opinions from a political and socio environment that we live in. And if you're not a Christian, you'll get nothing out of this. It also feels very indoctrinating. The kids, the lessons are very high level and superficial. They're not actually teaching children anything about being a good person or being kind or being patient. The answer for them is God for everything. And if that's the answer for everything, you don't learn anything because you're doing things for God instead of just doing things for the right reason. And I wouldn't recommend this book to anyone. I found it really disappointing. And this is coming from someone that I was very fair with them when it came to The Hope We Hold. I thought that that was a decent book. This book is a complete miss. And that's just my opinion. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.